Courtney. I'm one of the Create Better Health Ambassadors with Weber County Extension. We're here today to do another Cooking with Kids video. So today we're making what we call awesome oatmeal cookies. So why they're awesome is because they're healthier than your original cookie because we're using a secret ingredient. And let me show you what it is. It's beans. So what I've done here is taken a can of white beans and I've rinsed them off really well. And now we need to mash them. So I'm going to let her do her part and mash them for me, just so that we can get them mashed down a little bit so that we can measure them and get them more compact. So while she does that, I will go ahead and start on the dry ingredients. I have 1 cup of whole wheat flour here. And then, with it being oatmeal cookies, we're going to put some oatmeal in here. I don't think it really matters what type of oats you use. I'm using quick cooking oats. You can use normal if you want. I just like the consistency better with these smaller, with the quick cook oats. So we're gonna put about 3 cups of quick cook oats in here. And these are our dry ingredients. So I'm getting this ready while she does the mashing on the beans, because that'll take her a few minutes, especially if we're losing the beans all over the place. And then we need a ½ teaspoon. You want to help mix? Okay. So we're losing interest in the bean mixture. It's a little more work. So we're going to take ½ teaspoon of baking soda. And then we will do a teaspoon of salt. Oh, please be careful. We should have grabbed a bigger bowl. Here, would you like to put this in? Good job. And then, we're losing interest fast today, going back and forth. Then we will do a teaspoon of cinnamon.
I want to put it.
You want to put it in? Good job. Alright, so let's go ahead and we'll mix all our dry ingredients up really well. So now we are going to work on our bean mixture. So traditional cookies, this is where you would mix the sugar and the butter and the eggs and all the wet ingredients together, but we're using beans instead of butter. So she's gonna still keep working on those. The order that you put this all in doesn't really matter. So I will go ahead and work on this part. In true toddler fashion, she's taste testing the beans. Apparently they taste pretty good straight out of the can. It's okay that she sneaks some though, because there'll be plenty of extra. We only need 3/4 of a cup and there's more than that in there. So what we're going to do now is get our sugar in here. So we need 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. You don't have to mix it in the food processor. This step is completely optional, but I wanted my beans to be able to get blended in really well with the other ingredients, and so that way you can really tell that there's beans in there. So I'm using the food processor for this part. So 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. Then we need ½ a cup of white sugar. Here you go. Good job. Yep. Alright, now we have 1 egg, so we'll put that in there. Then we need a teaspoon of vanilla extract, so let me go ahead and measure that up. And she watches me like a hawk on this part because this is her favorite part, is to pour the ingredients in. And a lot of times I get ahead of myself and don't let her do it. So I have to learn to be very patient and make sure she has her turn. Okay, and then we put in 2 tablespoons of oil. This is optional. I'm putting it in just for texture. The texture of the cookies turns out a little bit different if you do put oil in it. Then the very last ingredient before we put the beans in, and like I said, I'm not going in any certain order. I was just letting her take some more time to smash the beans up, which looks like it isn't happening, so she's gonna need some help here. But this last ingredient here is half a cup of unsweetened applesauce. The applesauce acts as the fat in with the beans instead of butter or shortening like you would in a traditional cookie. So now I'm going to help her get these beans all put together. We'll set this aside. So we need 3/4 of a cup of beans. All right, let's do some smashing. So they are a little bit tricky to smash, and why I'm smashing them and putting them in the food processor is because we need them smashed down first so that I can get an accurate 3/4 of a cup. So if I was just doing just whole beans, I could probably get away with it, but it wouldn't be as compacted down as I would like it to be. She is really wanting to use her hands in with this. This is a very sensory, you know, getting all the feel, different things, different smells. Beans are kind of stinky. In my opinion, she doesn't really seem to mind. But now we're gonna fill this up to 3/4 of a cup. And you will have extra beans. There's more than 3/4 of a cup that's in your can. But what you can do is save it for soup. You can maybe even set some of your beans aside and not mash them down, and just mash a little bit, start filling it up, mash some more as needed. Mine didn't get mashed very well. We were kind of just making a hot mess over here, but that's okay. That is part of the process. So I'm just trying to pack them down in there a little bit since I didn't smash them too well. And even if your beans are really smashed but you want to use them for soup, they make a good thickener in soup. You can blend them in a little bit. All right, I think that's enough. Okay, so now we're going to get these in the food processor and get them blended up really well so you can't tell that there's beans that we're having. All right, we got our surface cleaned up a little bit here, and now we are going to process our wet mixture. Like I said before, you do not have to use a food processor. For us, it's just been a lot easier to get the texture and the consistency of the beans a little bit finer. Sorry, it's a little loud. It's not her favorite noise in the world. Perfect. This way, it'll be easier to mix up and we won't have big chunks of beans. You don't mind the beans, especially if maybe you're not making this for kids and you don't want to try and hide them as well. You definitely don't need to use a food processor. So now we're just going to mix it all up together. And you could still see little flecks of beans in there, but it'll bake in, especially with the oats, and you won't be able to tell as much. All right, go ahead and mix it. We'll see how this goes. Like I said earlier, I probably should have done a bigger bowl to help contain this mess, but I will help her. And as we stir these, you'll be able to see that these aren't the consistency of like a normal chocolate chip cookie. They're maybe more of like a no-bake cookie. That's what they make me think of, especially with the oats in them. So the batter will be a little bit more wet. So let me give her a little hand here. Okay, make sure that you get your cookie stirred really well and that there's no dry spots. And then at that point, just go ahead and get a cookie scoop and a prepared baking pan and scoop them up. Okay, so I've got them all scooped up. The last batch I made about 2 dozen. So we'll put this batch in the oven. They'll go in the oven at 350 for about 8 to 10 minutes. And then when you take them out, let them cool for another 5 minutes on the pan, and then let them cool all the way on a wire rack.
I'm not oven table.
We just finished our cookies, 10 minutes in the oven, 5 minutes on the pan, then put them off on the rack to cool. And this is what they look like. So they look a lot like a no-bake cookie. They kind of get the mound shape because they don't spread out because there's no fat in them. But that's why we love these cookies. If you can see, they're really good and dense. They have a nice sweet flavor, but they're not too sweet. And they're low fat, they're packed full of protein. They'll keep you full for a long time because of all the beans in them. and they're whole grain. So with having whole oats and then whole wheat flour, these are 100% whole grain cookies. And so you'll feel good about letting your kids eat them. I mean, there's still sugar in them, and that's what gives them some good, distinct flavor. But they're healthy as far as cookies go, your traditional cookie goes. And I think you'll enjoy them, and no one will ever know that there's beans in them. So enjoy. Toddler approved, as you can tell. Alice, can you say bye-bye?
Bye-bye.
Good job.